What is going on, everyone? Welcome in episode number 24, Motorsports Almanac Live. Shane and Wyatt here. John is in the queue. He's trying to get his camera working at the moment. So until then, we're going to fill in some time here. Adam, what's going on, buddy? Thanks for joining in, guys. We know we're on our Tuesday night here. Wednesday is typically our day, but with our schedules for this week, Wyatt, you guys have got a hook tomorrow night, I think you said.
Yeah, I'm more than likely going to be going to Jefferson, Wisconsin, Badger State show, and we're busy the rest of the week. I mean, it's tomorrow through Saturday, every day. So
yeah, which is a really fun problem to have, though. Hey, what's going on, Mark? How are you, buddy? Thanks for jumping in, too. Yeah.
I'll just talk about what the heck I've been doing. Working my tail off and going pulling is pretty much what this July is going to be. I mean, everybody knows that the busiest part of the season is coming up right now. I mean, heck, PPL's so-called what they want to call Hell Week is coming up, and I think John can attest to that.
John's got his camera working
damn near every day of the week. So,
yeah.
So, you guys,
John, can you hear us okay and everything, buddy?
Yep, I'm good. You got me?
Yeah. Weather's not looking too terrible out there yet.
No, it just skipped through a little bit ago, and it was just a bunch of rain. And then we got here in Louisville. Jay says there was no storm. It's all winding down, so we're good shape now. So it's all passed.
Awesome, man. So how's everything going for you guys on the Pro Pulling League so far this summer? It seems like the Pro Pulling League TV's coming along really awesome. It looks great.
Yeah, we had a couple little hiccups there with the first one in Lawrenceburg, but there's a lot of good people behind the scenes working on that thing for us. They're busting their butt. They're always trying to dial it in. But, if semi-puller named Chris Wood said, if you sit still, you're getting stale. So, we're trying not to sit still.
Yeah, man. I mean, I was grateful you gave me the opportunity to be a part of that there at Lawrenceburg. Tractor wasn't ready, so you let me do some work with you. It was a lot of fun, throughout the day, just kind of learning the ins and outs of what everybody does with it and how the crew really works together there as a cohesive unit. But it looks like ever since then, everything has been smooth sailing.
Yeah, we've had a couple glitches on what kind of devices they're working on, it seems like, for some users. Like, I think there was a person, and I'm kind of guilty of this stuff. I'm not the biggest tech guy in the world, but I think there was somebody was using an iPhone 7. I think they're like, it's not going to work on that. I was like, sorry, man. Don't know what else to tell you. Yeah, but everything else has had pretty good success. So
yeah,
I can say from experience, it has worked very well on my end.
Yeah,
good.
And I'll tell you something else too that's been a lot of fun for me and Wyatt. I'm pretty sure you too, is the events that are being live streamed that we've heard so much about. But letter A, I live way too far away to make that a weekend trip. But just getting to see the pulls, like the first pull of the year in Baraboo, I mean, that was one of the first ones that I watched. I got to watch, where were they at the same weekend as Toma? It's Mound City.
Yep.
We watched that and all that. And, I mean, I've been watching some Badger State stuff, watched Terre Haute this past weekend. We were at Top Golf. We had Terre Haute going. So
we were at Toma Friday night after it rained, and we were watching Mound City right there in the pits on Pro Stock Row.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know we had some Snapchats going back and forth, and while we were at Shipshewana, the boys, the Pro Stock guys had Hutchinson, Minnesota on. So everybody's in tune to what's going on any side of the fence. So it's kind of cool to see that.
Yeah, it really is, and everything's really coming together. The audio, wiring in the announcers and everything. That I think that's probably been one of the tougher things that you face so far, if I had to guess.
Yeah, and it's just because you don't know what kind of devices they have at that facility and how to get it kind of plugged into, which kind of XLR cable it's going to take, or what the sound bank looks like. I mean, you think you have it all. We've got 2 totes that we carry with us, and we still may not have the right piece. So I think there's another piece coming in for this week just to make sure that we have all of our avenues covered. So we'll see.
And man, you guys have got a lot of events going on. I think I counted you guys are in 4 different places this weekend alone. And that's just on the Silver Series and Champions Tour.
Yeah, Friday night's a big night for us. Troy, Missouri, Western Series, and there's a couple Champions Tour classes out there, and it's been a couple years since we've been to that facility. Clint's going to run that, and Mr. Richwine will be out there. And then I think Christy's going to tackle the Jerseyville event. Knock on wood. I know this hurricane thing might throw a little wrench into all that, but it's still, what is it? Today's Tuesday, so we got some time on that. So she'll cover that one, which is going to be streamed. And then I think I've got head of PR relations, Keenan, with me at Fairfield. So we got Mini Rods, Light Supers, Hot Farms, and Pro Stock Diesel pickup trucks there. So yeah, big day on Friday for us.
Yeah, it is. I mean, that's not even including the member states either. I mean, you guys are all over the map this weekend. I mean, Mid-South's in Elizabethtown this weekend, and Wyatt tomorrow night's Badger State for you. It's going to be
it's a big
weekend.
Big week for Badger State. Yeah, they've got Jefferson tomorrow night, the Darlington Farm Pulls Thursday, Baraboo Friday, Darlington Saturday. And then everybody kind of meets back up the Badger State and some of our Western Series in Monticello, Iowa, which kicks off another big week again for us. So, yeah.
Yeah. I can tell you, I'll be at Monticello, too. Monticello is only 30 minutes from my house.
Copy. So, yep.
Yeah,
it's
Evansville.
It's a busy week everywhere.
It is. So, Mr. Mike Weekland, thanks for tuning in, guys. So, I already got approached by a couple of people, and I meant to ask you about this earlier, but the biggest talking point right now I am hearing is the Component Light Pros. Everybody kind of wants to hear what's going on there and how long, like how it's all going to work with some of the guys that aren't building components yet.
You mean that aren't on the track yet? Is that what the question is? Or
just what's
I think Gerald Grimes and Hopkins, Matt Kostler's close with his, I think. I think there was a little bit of a family setback down there at Ace. I think there was a death in the family down there, so that kind of slowed things down, which, hey, I mean, I get that. Like, because Gerald felt bad for not getting his piece out. I think, there was somebody else that had one going. I think they said maybe Van Gendren's building another one for somebody or him. There's probably a half a dozen that'll be out by, I'm going to guess, Hillsborough time, if I had to guess, if everything goes well.
Okay.
But again, how many parts are still, people are chasing parts still. We're not out of that whole 2020 deal, and it stinks. I mean, I get it, but I think it's going to be and Kendall Hauk's got one. He just, he's got a John Deere International. He still runs his International, and I'm just waiting for it to come hit the track. I know there'll be I wouldn't be surprised if maybe something doesn't show up at Meadows' pull at Tollsboro in 2 weeks, the 20th. So
it's kind of hard to believe that we're still in that recovery stage of 2020. It seems like it's years ago, but it was only yesterday. So, or vice versa. I mean, Shane, you're seeing it. There's guys in the pro stock side still seeing it. Heck, go back to Badger State. Randy Bader just got back out, and he hasn't been out since 21.
Yeah.
So we're seeing it everywhere.
Yeah, it's exactly right.
I was talking to a modified four-wheel drive puller today that he burnt a push rod last Friday or Saturday night. You would think push rods on a modified four-wheel drive truck, that mountain motor thing, would be that some people would have them. It's going to be close if he's ready for his hometown pull. I think they're at Memphis, Missouri on Thursday. It'll be close if he gets it ready for that, and then even going into Troy. I thought push rods would be a little bit more available in those engines, but evidently they're not. I mean, everything's got to go right for him to get it back on the track. So you're 100% right.
Yeah, I hate to hear that too.
No, it's crazy, but at the same time, it's still our normal. We're kind of used to it now. It's like,
yeah,
all right, we're still waiting on parts. Ain't nothing we can do about it. We just got to play the waiting game.
Yeah. I mean, granted, the reason I'm short on parts was my own fault, but it'll be worth it later.
So
I'll put it that way.
Let's go back to the events part of it. And I know, John, you said you got 3 of them on Friday. Talk about the one on Saturday back in Joliet.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. The Dirt Oval 66 going to be down on the front stretch. I've been working with those folks here all week trying to get some equipment double check and lined up. When you ever go to a racetrack, unless they've been pulling acclimated, it's a little bit, track equipment's not the same for a dirt car race compared to a tractor pull. So been working on some of those things, getting it ready, and been sending some text messages back and forth. But excited to get up there in the middle of, south part of Chicago. Hopefully we're in kind of a trucker's alley. There's still some farm ground around there. Excited to see what kind of crowd that will bring into. I know they're doing a bunch of stuff with military and veterans and that sort of thing. I've gotten a couple pictures of what they've got planned for a parade situation. So excited to see what the gals up there at Dirt Oval 66 have to in store for the crowd.
Now you've got the event this year. Do you know by memory or by if someone told you when was the last time Joliet actually had a polling event?
So Jeff Hurt and I was talking about this 2 nights ago or 3 nights ago. I was there, I think, in 2000 or 2000, maybe 99. I don't know. We argued about when it was on like the 4th of July and it was hotter than blue blazes. That's the only time I can remember when the last time there was a pull there. If I'm, and somebody might have to, like a Dan Mayer, I'll have to like correct me on that one.
Yeah, Wyatt's brother Morgan says 1999 Joliet was an NTPA hook.
Yep. So it was pretty close. I remember being there, and Roberts had one of the tractors there, or 2 tractors there, I think.
I believe it was 2.
I remember it was just hot. It was very hot. You remember those ones?
Yeah, it sounds like whenever we go down to Brandenburg or Chapel Hill.
That was Brandenburg last year.
Dude, that was rough. Heck, you were just up the road in Evansville. Rough. You were just there in Evansville that same weekend, dude. You knew.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, if you haven't been in Saluda in August underneath the shade tree at 106 degrees, like you haven't been hot yet. Like that's probably that's the hottest pull on anybody's schedule.
Oh man. Wow.
But yeah, Joliet will be exciting. I think they've got like 4 or 5 classes. I think there's semis and diesel 4-wheel drives. We've kind of got the classes set up for the dirt that we think is going to work the best. So I'm excited to see what we can do there.
Yeah. Uncle Larry typing in 1999. So let's kind of talk about some of the other things too. I saw the post that you guys made today, the 3-0 blanket situation. What was kind of going on there? I know you guys have really been on the forefront of the safety stuff this year, especially. So
I think it was just probably a clarification that we don't want anything going down the track without a blanket on the atmospheric chargers. I think there was a 3-0 truck over the weekend that grenaded one, and he had a blanket on. Everything worked the right way. We had Josh Hanna did it on an 85 Limited Pro, and then I think Henry D did it at Osceola. It's just nerve wracking and that it's happening, but I'm glad the blankets are working. We actually had there was a semi that had a big charger on it, and it came unglued. The restraint worked and the blanket worked. So we're just very thankful, knocking on wood, that the blanket manufacturers are getting them made as fast as possible. I've talked to 2 of the main ones. They're working 6 days a week. I mean, they are cranking them out as fast as they can. So very thankful for those companies behind that. I think there was actually another blanket submitted either late last week. I don't know, with the 4th, it was kind of weird, but putting another manufacturer in the equation to help move forward with the blanket need.
Yeah,
I think, and I may possibly be wrong, and we've seen this with experience with Che and I running 3x3s in Super Farm. The smaller chargers, for how hard we're pushing them, and they are to their limits, it would not surprise me that we see more of this. I mean, we're pushing these things north of 130,000 RPMs. So
130,000
on the turbocharger speed, it's unbelievable. So I see it coming? Possibly. Is it happening right now? A lot? No. But can it happen? Yes. So, and people argue, I don't want to put this on, I don't want that put that on. I'd rather have more coverage than not, because I'd rather have it right away to save it for later than be behind the ball.
Yeah, exactly right.
I know that there's a big thing about, that everybody's put a containment device in. And I had this talk with Greg when they had me on with the Badger State show is, and Larry I can attest that we had this conversation today is, people are, why do you got to run the bolts? I get it. Yeah, there may be a chance that there might not be anything touches there, but if there's a piece, a fragment that does get past the first containment device, I would rather have the bolts in there. A lot of people already had them in there. And I go back and say, when they put airbags in the vehicles, they didn't take the seatbelts out, did they? So,
No.
So a little extra safety wouldn't hurt anything,
Yeah. And I'll be honest, that you talk about the airbags and everything on the front end, I feel like that kind of should be a standard thing anymore. And it really and truly is across most of the classes. Because, I mean, it's safety equipment. It's easier on the driver. I mean, I can't tell you how many I've seen with their front end get kind of silly. They jumped out of it, and because they had that spring load, it just kind of evened out for them instead of just the tires and the axles breaking.
The only thing I will say on that part is, and I may be dumb for saying this, if you have your setup figured out, you shouldn't need it. But guys like it, some guys don't like it. I mean, it's all personal.
But here's my counterpoint to that for you, something that you said a second ago, rather have it and be safe than not. That's my thinking on it. And I agreed with you, but that's my thinking on it. It's safer.
There's a lot of different ways you can go to. I mean, light super stocks. Look, they're like light super stocks and mini rods. They're bucking Broncos.
Yeah,
you're seeing more mini rods now putting air ride or floating front ends on them. You can see them bobbing up and down and save themselves.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there's no argument there. There's certain classes that it should probably lean towards. Yes, a heavier class, probably not. That's going to bounce off the wheelie bars is probably not much of a problem. But
right,
yeah, I remember seeing flagging at Freeport, Illinois, and Beaudre had the crazy Canuck, and it bounced, and both tires. I was at the end of the track flagging, and I looked up, and both tires were in the air, and I'm thinking, okay, it's time we got to make a rule for something. And that's where we came up with the skids with the help of Josh Miley from his tutelage from the Engler machine. We're like, let's draw something up to build the skis. And nobody was really on the airbag forefront until, I think Full Pull did it with Bob and them. But we had to do something to keep from them tires and spindles popping off and bouncing down the track and that sort of thing. So, yeah. You're right.
And you still have it on occasion, but you don't see it nearly as much as you used to.
It does what it's supposed to. It takes the energy out of the landing, so it does make it minimal at that point. So, yeah.
Yeah. I know there's a couple of classes that they have a rule where you can't run in at all.
Yep.
I remember talking about that.
Yeah. Yeah, that was just a couple weeks ago there for the Hopkins.
Yeah, it was. It was.
Which I think having a rule and not allowing it is kind of
it's kind of silly,
asinine. It's kind of asinine. So
yeah,
I don't know. It's something to discuss. I mean,
it is.
We don't use it. We don't use it. We've never had to use it. So
yeah,
I mean, it's just not in our system. But for others, they use it. I mean, I'm hard to them.
Yeah. John, Jamie wants to know how many years you've been going up to Goshen, Indiana. Or, yeah, I guess it'd be up for you still.
I can tell you the first time I was there, I remember this. Dave Snyder had the turbine, the Arfon turbine. And I know he went 1,000 feet that night. He was first puller. They reset the sled. He came back, he made a pull off, and he was in the pull off, and he went 350 feet the first time, like 330 the second time, and the third time he won at like 305 or 310 or something. But yeah, he was almost 1,000 feet in one night with the jet. So that was like, 99, 98 maybe?
Yeah.
So yeah, so I've been going there for several years, yes.
Yeah. So I kind of want to talk to you too about some of the events that Pro Pulling Leagues had in the past. And I was talking with a couple of guys that I'll tell you who it was after the show today. The one that they brought up that they said they had the one of the best times they've ever had pulling was in Arizona with the pull out there at the drag strip. Kind of talk to us how that all came together. I know it's been a little while ago, but I mean, dude, that's all the way out in Arizona.
I also have a follow-up question with events at those certain type of venues. So answer the question first, and I'll ask mine.
So how did it come about? So at that point, Lucas was doing drag boat races there, and there was like 2 or 3 off-road races there at the same time. They're like, hey, you got this pulling thing. Why don't you bring it out here? So we kind of went out there once and kind of pre-tripped it, and we figured out how much plywood we needed and how much dirt we needed. And with the help of Randy Spraggins from Specialty Tracks, because he has, back in the day, and they still do, Monster Jam and Feld, whatever you want to call it, has got plywood in all the big cities, basically, to go over top of real grass and that sort of thing. So there was some.
Really?
Oh, yeah. There's stockpiles of dirt in different arenas, stadiums. There's semi-loads of plywood and van trailers just sitting in certain locations. So it was, gosh, somebody do the math, but we did 400 feet of plywood on the track, and put the dirt down. And honestly, it was a very good track. The problem was that it was 92 degrees and the wind was blowing. There was a lot of moisture in the track. So when a vehicle took off, underneath it was wet, like it had moisture there. But with the wind, it was like being in a sandblaster. It reminded me of being in Memphis back, whatever it was, 7-8 years ago when we went down there, and it was, May, and it was 102 degrees and the wind was blowing. It reminded me exactly of Phoenix. So I remember having a hard time keeping the inflatables tied to the fence. That could have been a little bit better potentially if it would have been at night. The sun would have went down. We would have only been like 85 degrees, but it was a fun trip. I think we left on a Sunday, got out there Wednesday afternoon. We pulled, did all the things, and then we actually was trucking back to Lincoln, Nebraska for the indoor pull. So we go from 95 degrees to snow on the ground in like 6 days of pulling. So that was a rather wild trip for us.
Yeah, so
that is a
Cornhusker Classic, right?
What was the question?
Cornhusker Classic would have been there in Nebraska, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
When we went out there, we took just 2 semi-loads of stuff. We took a roller, a tractor, Danny's favorite scraper tractor, a V scraper, a chisel plow. Our trailers were loaded. So, yeah, that was a fun trip out there.
Yeah. What was your follow-up question?
And it has to kind of do with what you're talking about, past events. And I might be in left field on this one, but what is the attraction to places that are not specifically for pulling events? Arizona being a drag strip, Norwalk being a drag strip, Memphis being next to the drag strip, Joliet being in the big oval dirt track. Is there just a certain attraction to them, or just availability of space? Or
I think it's a combination of several things, Wyatt. I think you've got to realize and look at the big stadiums where pro sports teams are playing. They want to get as many things in there to keep people coming through, to sell popcorn, to sell drinks. So that's the same thing we are. We're in an entertainment business. We're going to a drag strip. You can only have so many drag races a year. You got to have a pull or a monster truck show or a concert and get people coming in to keep the facility fresh, if you will. So it's people that are wanting to look to expand their market and who they're trying to appeal to, because a drag race fan is not the same as a tractor pull fan. They're close, but they're not the same.
Mm-hmm. That is so very true.
I mean, everybody's a gearhead, but it's just a different, been to the PRI show several times is, they've seen a mod. They're like, well, how do they get all those engines to run together? And, you could kind of joke with that. You say, well, there's a rubber band in that box right there. And they're like, or a belt. Really? Yeah. There's a belt that drives all 4 of those motors together. And they just go on So.
Yeah. We're all gearheads in one way or another. We're all interested in motorsports, but it's the way we do our motorsports and the power application process is what makes it everything different. I mean, drag racing is so much different than pulling, because you're going from using all your power to go fast to use all your power to pull something. You have dirt track is going round and round trying to.
So one of those things is that I would probably expand on is, I would say probably 10 or 15 years ago, a lot of the parts that go into pulling came from drag racing, because if it was good enough for drag racers, it would have been good enough for a puller. Well, pullers abuse their engines 10 times more than what a drag racer does. So, the drag racers are like, hey, what are they using in that pulling application? What's the two-wheel drive and mini rod guys using? Because if it lasts for 12 seconds, it's going to last for 4.5 seconds for me. You know what I mean? Like, without a doubt. So I think a lot of times the drag racing world kind of goes to, the John Cards, the Ken Vinnies, what's the secret sauce here, guys? How can we get that power crossed over?
And I believe we had the same exact conversation with Derek Ward and Spencer Hyde in the World Series Pro Mod show. They were like, you guys have the longevity of the engine. We have the short-term fuse of the engine. How can we bring the longevity and the power together for what we use in our engines and motor programs? So it's something that they've questioned too. So that they've had the same exact curiosities.
Yeah. And Derek was a little more, I don't want to say had a little bit more in depth for that, because he had tractor pull before, and he said he kind of grew up around with a guy running around crewing for him some, so he kind of saw that a little bit more. But some of the other things that I don't think we realize enough is how tied in the two industries are together, especially with the blowers and everything. Because the guys I was talking to today, they were just telling me like some of the people that they know, and it was just like, oh yeah, like we've met them and they know what pulling is, and they love pulling just as much as they do anything else. They'll come out to pulls if we're close to them, and same thing with the pulling guys. They'll go hang out with the drag racing guys.
Mm-hmm. That's where I think, and this is a thing that's probably going to happen sooner. I think maybe Poosh and Roos were talking about this. If I said last week, it was probably 2 months ago, but diesel motorsports into drag racing, I think that's going to happen sooner than what you think, because there's a lot of people on the drag racing side that realize that there's a definite market for the diesel side of it. And I think it'll probably get pushed pretty hard this winter, if I'm not mistaken. So I would say you could probably see some diesel stuff, kind of like what the pro mods have done in drag racing in the last 3 years. I think you could probably see that same evolution in the next 3 years if they keep it Midwest based. I think that's a big stepping stone there.
Yeah. I'm actually going to Outlaw Diesel Drags with Charles this weekend to Beach Bend for their event. So I mean, I was really excited to see some of the PDRA stuff. Never went out to Galat Motorsports Park. I'm even more excited to see the diesel stuff, because that's my roots.
Yep.
Well,
yep. I think
like you said, what was that, John?
Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to go expand upon the adding numbers thing. I mean, look at I'll just take, for example, the Pro Dragster category in Outlaw Diesel Super Series. They went from 3 dragsters last year that are basically like full time or going to be here most of the time. They're having, at the end of this year, almost into the next year, 7 to 8. I mean, we're gonna see it climb. I mean, even the diesel pro mods, the Duster, the 2 Corvettes, the trucks. I mean, it's all, the market's expanding.
Yeah, and I think, I don't know if is it an 890 class or a 990 class? I think there's some development that they could get into that to kind of get people. Okay, I don't remember which class has got more, but I think there's a lot of, when you go to the Indy, to the Big Go, there's a lot more sportsman racers. There's 400 sportsman's racers there, right? I think you could get a lot of the 990 trucks and then build your way into that dragster, pro diesel, whatever you want to call the next step up. I think there's a lot of movement for those guys in the diesel drag racing world.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah.
Shane, go to the comments there about, hit Dylan's comment there.
Dylan Dirks.
Yeah.
Okay. Will Joliet be 1 or 2 tracks?
One track. I think we've got one of the start machines will be there for the transfer sled. So
whose did you say?
Yeah.
You kind of cut out a little.
One track, Bungard. I don't know if it's Brandon. I don't know which. Usually, because Jerseyville's a 2-night pull, so whoever's there stays. So whoever might be in Fairfield might be coming up to Joliet. I haven't all the suds are good, and I get along great with Kurt and Brandon and Ed. So we'll be fine. We'll be fine.
Yeah. Really excited about that. I'm just looking through here. Kevin Vance said I left 3/8 bolts in the vertical pipe in addition to the new requirements.
Sure.
And
a lot of people
was it hurt? Brent Shorefight said put a 4.1 on it. Why they spin slower?
I like the Grand National Circuit. I'll stay where I'm at. Sorry.
Yes, the progress made in diesel drag racing already this year has been impressive. Yes, I mean, it's just like we said. I mean, it's growing. And it's going to continue to grow.
Now, I want to talk about something that I think, John, you've implemented with your with your sponsorship and the showing you guys have your polls. What do you think the polling world can take from the drag racing world based upon entertainment, sponsorship value, and even venues? What do you think we can take from them to improve upon here?
I think you've got to get the people. I'm a fan of the walking of the track. I think you got to get people, used to what the dirt looks like, what it is before and after, because they really don't. The average fan doesn't realize how much water goes into a track or not, depending on where the facility is. I think that's one thing to get them a part of. And again, getting them, I wish somehow we could get people to the starting line a little closer, just like, if you're at the Christmas tree at a drag race and fuel cars take off, 2 fuel cars taking off and a 4-engine mod is the same thing. Exact same thing. The ground's going to shake. The hair on the back of your neck pops up. It's impressive. People are so far back. Yes, they're all holding their ears, but to feel the actual ground shaking, that is something that, we got to get people a little bit more taste of. Yes.
I'd be curious to see what that would be like. Say, like NHRA has like a stand or a section there in between the starting line there. What that would do at a place like, I don't know, Toma or Bowling Green or Hillsboro or Henry, Illinois. What would that do? How would they experience it? What would they feel like? So yeah, I think that's a great thing. I mean, but how you implement it is something that needs to be thought about and considered.
Yeah.
Right.
I had never thought about that way with the staying at the line like they do at a drag strip. That's a good idea.
I know Coltrane Ryan, he's come down to the starting line. He's like, this is, between 2 sleds when they're both going, he's like, this is probably worse than an air traffic controller. You know what I mean? You got stuff going, scrapers going, and just that much, to me, it's just kind of second nature. You just know that stuff's going and moving and shaking. But having, a 2-wheel drive go or a pro stock go, and then a mod go or a mini rod, it's like, come on, stay on the rubber side down, please, when a mini rod takes off. And, yeah. So, yeah.
John, would you drive a mini if you had the chance, though?
No. No, probably not. And if I did drive it, I wouldn't do it justice.
Golly, no. Ugh.
I'd be late on the throttle. I mean, I watch them guys. I watch Hurt and Bruce, and they catch it fast. I mean, they're pistol whipping it. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. They have a special talent. I mean, between those guys, sprint car drivers, and anybody who drives a fuel car, they got a big old set of cojones on them. I'm sorry, I'm just gonna say it. They got guts.
Oh yeah.
So let me ask you something about the production side. I know your wife, Miss Leslie, works within Monster Jam, right? Pit reporter.
Yep.
Do you guys ever have the discussions of what you see on TV from a production standpoint from Monster Jam that maybe you guys could bring over to pulling? Because we all know how big Monster Jam really is and what they're doing right now.
That's a great question. We're ruined. We can't go to a live event. Like we're wrestling fans too, right? Because it's entertainment. We are dissecting everything's production value, whether it be a match, the entertainment at a basketball game or a baseball game, all the things that are going on. Monster Jam is a lot of a commercial during the show. There's not a lot of time for competition. So TV shows you all of that stuff because they're putting that a 2.5 hour show into 45 minutes, 43 minutes.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
You know, a 1 hour show is 43 minutes and 48 seconds, I believe, is what it comes down to once you got all your commercial stuff out. So, is there some stuff you can come over? Yeah, you get your interviews. But again, getting people into the crowd, into the event to see the driver, see the vehicle, that's where you're going to get your most bang for the buck because you can get close to that machine. That's not something, you know, most people go when they go to a Monster Jam show, they don't ever see the truck or can get close to the truck because it's taped off and roped off. You're not going to touch it. And the security yells at people for sitting their kid on the tire. I was one of those officials that did that, right? Like, hey, man, get your kid off the tire because somebody's going to get hurt. So, but you can get your picture taken in the seat of a tractor. You can touch it. You can see it when they're working on it. You don't ever see other than behind the scenes with some camera stuff, and that's just minimalistic stuff at a Monster Jam show. But you can see guys in between, like on Saturday at Hillsboro or at Goshen, people going through routine maintenance, that sort of thing. So, yeah, you get into the production side, man. But yeah, I think I've told you this, Shane, is Leslie and I, we don't talk about a lot of pulling stuff when we're at home. Like it's when we're going down the road kind of a thing, because if not, it consumes you all the time. And you can just keep thinking like, hey, we should do this better, this more. Like, it gets a little difficult at times. Yeah.
I'll tell you the thing that I've kind of had pop into my head here recently, just scrolling through YouTube and watching the different events and everything, is the introduction of the drivers, but they are with their vehicle, so you can put a name to the vehicle name and everything. Specifically, Monster Jam, I think that's something that they emphasize really hard. So I don't know if that's something. I mean, you'd have to start doing it really early because of how many classes we have.
I'll disagree with you on that, Shane. It's all about the name of the truck. It doesn't matter who the driver is.
Okay.
Because if it was, you wouldn't have 8 Gravediggers, right? You wouldn't have 2 Max Ds. You wouldn't have, back in the day, there was 3 or 4 Spider-Mans. You know what I mean? Like, it's about the name of the truck. The drivers are always rotated through. Good friend of mine, Cody Saucier, who's driven Max D, Monster Energy. He'll drive the wheels off anything. I don't care what you put him in. He's a cool cat. And I remember him coming to tech school for the very first time at Monster Jam. And I was like, where are you from? And he's like, I'm from down in Louisiana. And he goes, what do you do? And I said, I do a little bit of pulling stuff. And he's like, really? He was like, man, I watch that on TNT all the time. And he got all kind of geeked up over it. But yeah, he's a big tractor pull nut. Cody is. So.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And he's still driving Monster Energy, isn't he?
He was driving, I think, the Dragon truck when he was in Louisville last fall. We went down to see him, and I come walking up in the back door area, and he's like, "What's up, old man?" And I'm like, "Gee, thanks, Cody.
Yeah,
I appreciate that love."
I remember whenever he was crew chiefing for Damon Bradshaw on Air Force Afterburner as a kid.
Yep, he sure was.
Still one of my favorite trucks of all time.
And then here's another guy that, you probably should think about that got his start in pulling and has made a really nice, good living or business over monster trucks is Dan Patrick. You'll always see him at Louisville. Oh, yeah. Dan Patrick he just called the other day. He bought 4 motors and clutches and bought a monster truck guy out somewhere. And he was like, hey, you got anybody that needs this stuff? Or, he says it all looks good. He just bought a package deal, but he's a big tractor pull nut. Dan Patrick is, and he lives close there to Gearhart's and Cream of the Crop there in Circleville.
Well, heck, he just needs to come out with his own. Then come out with a mod.
Well, he did have a mod back in the day, so we've tried to tease him about that every once in a while.
Yeah, that'd be awesome to see. That's really cool, though. I didn't know all these guys knew that much about pulling. I think I've seen Tyler Menega post a photo or two on Facebook every once in a while of his grandfather maybe pulling back in the day in the mod class.
I know he's from Osceola, Iowa. We were just there. But Dan Patrick was talking about bringing back his 2-wheel drive retro funny car. I think he's trying to get the pieces all put together to bring that back. and get it all together.
Now
I think he told me
that would be cool.
That would be awesome.
He's
how would
actually
that work though? With the tires and all that.
He's just getting it all back together. I think he's a nostalgic kind of guy, and I think they said the rear end and maybe the body was still in Australia, and they were going to try to get it purchased and bring it back from Australia when they go down here in another month or two, I believe.
Well, that's an interesting development.
Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. So, John, before we kind of jump on and into our other stuff, and you can stay on and talk about it with us too, because I'm sure you're just as much in the loop as we are. What are some of the high points everybody needs to know for Pro Pulling League for the rest of the year going forward?
You guys started out the Hell Week here in another 10 days where we hit Freeport, Goshen 2 nights, Evansville, Altamont, and then they stick around and go back to Altamont on that Wednesday. And then, that is a fun week. It's really, a test of durability right there. You know what I mean? That's always a fun week. And then capping off up at Hillsboro at Hillsboro and the charity pull that the Slama family puts on. I know Don's a spearhead, but he probably doesn't give enough credit to Buzz and to Sally. They bust their tails year-round on that project. He actually called about doing some other stuff this morning. We had a conversation about what they were trying to add to the show and try to make it a little bit better there. And then, for the diesel stuff, because I'm a diesel guy at heart, yes, I seem like I'm a hard ass with the diesel truck guys, but I really like doing Shide. Like, that's a fun event to see that much diesel stuff in one location.
Oh, yeah. I think I'm going to get to go this year, too, finally. They moved a date for my college town. I think they moved back a weekend because Springfield's not going on this year. So whether a trailer's behind me or not, I'm going to be there in some shape or form.
All right, cool. I got one thing. Now, John, I know we were talking about like destination polls before and like fan experience. If you are a fan and you are recommending, or say you're recommending a poll to a fan that you have, which one would you say to go to based upon fan experience, the facility, the show, or all of the above? And it can be multiple. It'll be multiple polls.
I think the experience at Macville, Wisconsin is really good. And tell me if that rain is too loud because it's starting to pour right here now. So
I was fixing to ask you if that's what I think it is, but I was really hoping it wasn't.
I think Macville is a great event. Scotticoke, New York is a really good event.
Wyatt, you got him good on this one.
There's just so many.
Because I've had this conversation with drag racers like Spencer and Derek and others on the entry side of it. And it's not always the indies. It's not always the Pomona World Finals. It's the Brainerd because of the zoo and how far it is up there in the facility. It's to Chicago because that big old grandstand around it and you're right on Route 66. It can Norwalk. The facility in Norwalk, and you can attest to this, is great.
Oh, the ice cream. The ice cream's bar none the best stuff around. And Mr. Vader, I get a chance to see him at the PRI show every year, and we exchange pleasantries. And around Easter and Christmas, we're always sending a couple text messages back and forth. That was a great place, and one that'll throw you for the loop. And the only reason why I'm going to say it is Tiffin, Ohio. I had a great run there at Tiffin. I really liked it. I hate being put on the spot for favorite events because I'm going to leave out, a dozen of them. An event that I liked going when I was a kid was Galax, Virginia. That was always on Mother's Day weekend. It was always really nice. They took care of the pullers, bar none. A fantastic event. And I would say probably, I'll be remiss as Louisville is a hell of a pull to go to as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, John, we appreciate your time, buddy. You're more than welcome to stay on with us, but we've got a couple of other places we got to cover.
I think we need to go over the comments first, is that we missed some.
Have we? You're watching it more than I am. I'm more engulfed in what's going on.
Well, a lot of this has been more or less when it comes to fan experience.
Well,
Jamie's got a question first.
Baker one
a little bit, and Jamie had a question first about what the best track you ever saw was, or best pass, or forgot.
The best track I've ever seen, Inwood, Canada.
Inwood, Ontario.
Yep. When you pulled in, they never had lights at the facility. There was grass growing on the track. It was a natural hillside. You parked up on top of the hill. I remember helping Rob Russell put pistons in. I was probably 12 or 13 back then. I mean, it was still the red workhorse. That was a fantastic track. That was probably one of the best. And the best pass that somebody's ever made. Whew. Oh, man. I'm going to tell you the best show that I've seen in a while was just recently, the semis at Osceola with RJ and Chris and Rook. They laid down it was impressive passes. Like that was a pretty cool inkling of what the semis can be. That was a really, really cool show.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see, had that one. You want to go Chris next, Wyatt?
Yeah, Jamie's got a couple about him being on the starting line at Goshen for mods, and then riding his sled. And riding his sled is a bucking bronco in itself. So
dude, you're telling me
dangerous.
Jeez, it's rough.
So Shane, read this comment.
Yeah, Chris says we need to educate the common fan on a lot of things with pulling, track conditions, rules of the different classes, but this would be so much easier if we could have one set of rules for one class, not 16 different sets across the board with all the same horsepower.
I won't disagree with that. Yeah,
no.
So here's one of the commonalities that I've had, philosophical discussions about is late models will pay $25,000 to win a race, right? $25,000, $50,000, $100,000, whatever it might be. That's one class. Take whatever pull you want, Toma, Hillsboro, whatever, and just run one class for that same purse money. It'll equivalent out to be the same thing. But we have all these classes because we have truck people, we have tractor people, we have diesel people, we have alcohol people. There's a differentiation there, and that's tough. That's really tough. There's some things that you could do long term to try to get to that point, but that's for a whole nother show, and I don't think we have time for that in the next 12 minutes or whatever it might be.
You're fine. I do want to say one thing about the education part, and I don't know if it's just myself that has seen this, but pulling is not racing in itself. Yes, we kind of get off to a fast start. We want momentum, but we are pulling something, a distance. We're not set off by time. We're going by distance and footage, not time. And that's something we have not educated and explained to people well enough that it is based upon distance and who can pull it the farthest, and not how fast you can get to the full pull marker, and who's got the high speed record, and because it's all determined by the sled you're pulling. So
that's a very difficult point to bring up, because I think Leslie does a very good job of this. Is you're talking to a wide range of people. You might be talking to the wife or the young kids that are 12 or 13 that have no idea what a tractor pull is, but the husband's a complete gearhead. He knows about air pressure. He knows about boost pressure. He knows cubic inches. He knows all the things. But we're trying to get her into it, because how many times have we ever heard, and we sat in the stands or heard somebody in the stands go, oh, yeah, that guy just blew his motor up and it was an intercooler pipe. Or, that thing's making 22,000 horsepower and it's a 3.0 diesel pickup truck. No, man, it's not, but you can tell your girlfriend whatever it is that. So it's a tough thing. You got to talk to the people that have never been to a pull and the person that's got 50 years of experience of going to a pull, and try to cross and hybrid that to one commonality point for everybody.
Yeah. I mean, that's something that falls on me whenever I have my announcing hat on, to be able to teach everybody that's there. I mean, whenever I was out in Paris, because of the classes that were out there, I know them because I've seen them at Shipshawana, but I wrote down the rules and everything else in between that I could going out there, not only for myself, but just so I could try to educate people more and what the differences is between the classes that were there.
Mm-hmm. So,
yeah, Chris Baker had another one. He said maybe PPL needs to do an old timers day and see if you couldn't get some old school iron back out for a time or two a year.
Well, I think that Legends pulling series could be something really cool too. It's kind of like NHRA with the nostalgia funny cars.
Yep.
It's the same exact principle. Where we were before and where we've come. So
yeah. Mr. Eric Pruitt says hello, Mr. John, and then I think that's about reason 10,000. I hate sitting in the stands. Can't stand that.
Which I think it's nice having standing room and sitting room. There's a lot of people that don't like to stand; they like to sit and watch, and there's some people that like to move around, and talk to people, and get a drink. So, yep.
I cannot sit still.
Yeah, I for one can on a rare occasion sit, but most of the time I'm moving.
Yeah. So. Yeah, Stoney chimed in and said, I think that gets a lot better with the announcers telling more of that info, like Shane was saying. Yeah.
Yeah, and everybody's going to have that conversation with each puller and get one nugget of information that Kevin Masterson has a dyno, or that Denny Brown and Robin have a tuning company. Different things that get that personal connection that, Craig Sage has got a gear company, he builds, all kinds of components, is getting that one little nugget of information that, somebody else, you just don't read off the cue card. That is what, that's why I always like listening to a different announcer, is hear what they're going to say about the normal crowd that we have pulling.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. And that much, if the fan can relate to the driver themselves, it's even in the drag racing side of what they do for jobs besides racing, or what pullers do besides the fans and pulling. Yeah. That relation will always build a fan too.
Yeah.
So
if you guys haven't already, take your phones on your cameras on your phones and scan that QR code. You'll like what's behind it.
Mm-hmm.
I know that's kind of getting repetitive, but why not? Some announcers know all the stuff, like Hog with OSTPA, for instance, can give you all kinds of nuggets on everyone. Yeah.
Holy macaroni. That's his hotline. Yeah.
Yeah.
And, right. And I will say an announcer too can make or break a crowd if they want to come back or not. I mean, I will say for one, Brian Loans, the NHRA, brings a lot of new people in because of the information he can spew.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, there's a secretive truck pulling guy right there. You know what I mean? Like, he likes seeing pulling.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So.
Well, John, we appreciate your time, buddy. Seriously, I know you guys have got a big weekend and big next few weeks coming up. We really appreciate everything you guys do for us.
No. I appreciate you guys promoting the sport and doing the things that, we can't do while we're in the grindstone. We're trying to keep guys going down the track and putting on great events so we can get more butts in the seats, and, we'll do what we can.
Yeah, that's all. That's what we're here to do at the end of the day, is put more butts in the seats and grow this sport to where it could be.
Yep. So, no, guys, I appreciate it. Yeah, it's 10 o'clock Eastern. We're going to have another big day tomorrow. So I appreciate you guys having me on, and see you at a pull.
You got a lot of preparation to do, man. So,
yeah.
All right, guys.
Thanks, John.
Yep.
Thanks, John. Man, that was a lot of fun. I'd love to pick his brain and know what he's thinking about stuff. It's a lot. Wow.
It's definitely people like those that, they have a lot of information to spew, but they also have a lot of commonalities and fun stuff to share. So
exactly.
Cody Saucier did not know that he had any.
Would have never guessed that in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Or Dan Patrick.
Mm-hmm. There you go. Even before we had Spencer and Derek on, you wouldn't think that the motorsports world would be connected in such ways that it is.
Yeah,
but
I know.
Through ways of like PRI, We're interconnected. We're interconnected more than people would think. So
yeah, we are. Yeah, but Bubba, we got some more news to come on. It broke right as before we went live. SSI Motorsports has replaced Mr. Ricky Thornton Jr. with Hudson O Neal. You text me, I think it was Sunday, if I'm not mistaken, said, OMG, Ricky Thornton Jr.'s left SSI.
Yeah, I know we're changing the dirt track side, but if even relates to the drag racing side too, or even with polling sponsors, taking away sponsors from some pollers.
Yeah.
I got one question. What in the world was SSI thinking?
Yeah.
And I might be so out of the loop on this, but when a guy has won 19 races this year already before July 4th, in accumulation of approximately $200,000, why would you drop him? And maybe they're looking for some different talent, maybe some younger stars they're looking to rise up in their program.
It didn't take him long to find a ride, though, did it?
No, it didn't take him long to find a ride.
He was out there at 34 Raceway.
Heck, he's the banner guy for 34 Raceway we were just at for this week.
Yeah. I wish you could have gone out there for that. I would love to have seen if you couldn't have got a comment from him or something.
Yeah, Adam actually asked that earlier in
what did he say?
The show of hold on.
Like
Adam Wilson. He asked what my plans are after Jefferson. So the original plan or possible plan was Jefferson tomorrow, which is still up in the air, but I hope to do it. Thursday, we have a regional hook in Decorah, Iowa. I was considering either going to Decorah or the late model race in Burlington, which I was at 2 weeks ago. But it's an hour and a half to Decorah or 3.5 hours to Burlington.
Yeah.
Pretty sure I'd like to go to the place that has our tractor at. That's only an hour and a half away. Friday, two choices. Either Tipton, Iowa for ECI show, which ECI is born and raised, or go to Baraboo for Badger State Hook, and then Saturday is either Manchester, Iowa, or Darlington, Wisconsin. And I will tell us for anybody watching, Darlington, Wisconsin, if you've never been to that show, holy cow, is that a party.
Really?
It is Lafayette County Fair, Darlington, Wisconsin, put on by one of the best state associations, Badger State, with the best family of the rough and then rough families. Great show. Pro Stocks, Super Farm, 4-1s, and then after with the band, the pullers right there in the pits next to the band, the tent, the bar. It's awesome. It's a party. So
yeah.
So
I told you where my plans are for this weekend. I'm going to Outlaw Diesel Drag Racing with Charles on Saturday. May pull the double header and go up to Elizabethtown that night. I don't know yet. It's only an hour apart.
Right.
But Thursday night, I'm actually going to KTPA in Russellville there, Logan County Fair. It'll be It's an indoor track, but it's their outdoor track's not done yet. I want to see if I can't pull up a picture from there, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. But their new stands for their outdoor facility, it looks like it just came out of a drag strip from somewhere.
Carter just said in the comments, Taylor, South Carolina this weekend. We are in the heart of polling season right now. I mean, I'm going to rephrase that. We're in the heart of motorsports season right now.
Yeah. I mean, Spencer's been posting on his stuff this week that he's going to be driving
Top Fuel car.
Top Fuel, yeah.
He's going to be match racing
really cool.
Somewhere up north this weekend.
Yeah, I think he's in Virginia, maybe.
I think he's in Michigan.
Yeah, well, that'll be a lot of fun to see. Your brother says Manchester, Iowa's this Saturday, also a party.
It's so Friday night in Manchester is a Brantley Gilbert concert. Brantley Gilbert, big country artist.
Ooh.
And then Saturday is always a big polling day. They have in the morning, they have like some garden and pedal pull stuff. Then they have Getting Hooked, which is like some farm stock, local hot farms. And then at nights, the ECI, Super Farm, 2-wheel drive, 4-1s, all that shit.
Right.
If anybody else has got anything in the comments for polls this weekend or questions you want or topics you want us to go over, we still have some other stuff to talk about. Speaking of like updates on John Force.
Yeah, I saw that they posted today that he has been released from the ICU there, and he was transported to a neuro rehab facility.
Yep.
For his brain injury there, so prayers up to them. And man, it's been a tough week in the polling world too. We lost Mr. Harmon this week. Prayers out to his family. Mr. Dave Bennett, the most iconic voice from the Outlaws for many, many years, and at the National Farm Machinery Show. He was in a tough accident this past weekend. His wife did unfortunately pass away, but he had some surgeries, and right now I think everything's looking to be stable. And Mr. Oz Hayes' widow, you guys remember Oz Hayes, Nitroholic? He passed away a few years ago, and his wife just passed away. So send our thoughts and prayers to all of those families.
The motorsports world right now is in a weird place.
Oh, yeah, Lindsay Lucy, too.
Lynn's
completely left her out.
It's been tough. It's been a fight for all of us. It's been a war of attrition. And it's not just with either fights of cancer or death or whatever. It's everything. And I will be true to say here, we're all going through it, whether it's personally, whether it's, friends or whatever. I mean, we've gone through it. I mean, Harmon to a lot was a close friend. I mean, Ryan Rusink. Yeah. Big time. I mean, and I'll tell you right now, that's a tractor that people need to pick up on. Preparation H. I mean, that tractor has done a lot for the polling world, because that thing would turn some R's and people would always find it as an attraction.
Yeah. By the way, look who's making his return. Well, Andy. How's it going, Andy?
Boy, we haven't been for a while.
Yeah, I know. We were worried about you. Where in the world you been, man?
Well, he's been in Norwalk for the NHRA race for one.
Yeah.
So
isn't the Iowa Speedway IndyCar race? Yeah, it's close. It's real close.
It's coming up.
Yeah.
Coming up. Then the NASCAR race.
By the way, I'm throwing this out there. I really wish NASCAR would get off the streets of Chicago. I don't like it. I don't know if it's just the way the track's laid out or what it is. I do not like it.
I'm just not a NASCAR fan in general.
Yeah. Man, did you see that Haley Deegan lost her ride, though, in the Xfinity Series?
There's been quite a few driver changes that are just unbelievable. Adam goes, everyone should get off the streets of Chicago. Oh, my God.
Adam's feeling it tonight.
That's not a loophole we need to go down right now.
No. Lord, no.
Oh,
man. That's awesome.
Carter says, I wish PPL would go back to Norwalk.
I think we all do. Yeah,
I think the time of year would be a little iffy.
Yeah.
I know fighting with Chapel Hill doesn't always help, because you have some guys, let's say like last year, you have Chapel Hill on that same weekend and with Norwalk again. Right. Mastersons aren't there. So,
yeah.
You can't say that Mastersons aren't a big attraction in the polling world, because they are.
Yeah, they are. Indiana Pulling League shootouts this weekend too. July 12th. Starts out in Greentown, then Tipton, then Frankfurt. No me tosses. Super farms are going to be running NCPA rules. Mod turbos, you're running their 9,300 pounds for interstate rules. 48 lug max, no components, and the IPL rules apply. All of your info is right there. Yeah,
talk about
Shane. We will be down your way Saturday night, Calhoun, Kentucky. What's up, Rusty? Awesome, dude. Ohio Valley Hot Farms. I'm assuming. Be there. So, Chris, it's interesting you bring that up, because I feel like that's something that they have done specifically with how the live streaming for Pro Pulling League TV has come along.
That's absolutely where it's gone. I mean,
Yeah.
not
out
just,
Pro Pulling League TV, dude. They've expanded a lot.
Not to be redundant on it all, but I mean, look at the first events they had. They had Sauk City, Wisconsin. They had Lawrenceburg. They had Sauk Prairie, Wisconsin. They had Baraboo, Wisconsin. I mean, they've had tons of different events.
Yeah,
so far, and a lot of them being state.
The price for what you pay for the session, $20.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping. I'll be honest. I kind of hope next year there's a subscription option.
Yeah. But and also, I think if when they do come out with a description, it's way better to paying for that than something like Flow Racing. Even though Flow Racing is great, but the amount of stuff they actually cover when they have multiple crews, I mean, you can't beat that. You can't beat that.
Yeah, he's told me what the capacity is for that they could stream for if they had to. It's kind of crazy.
Mm-hmm.
There was something else I was going to hit. Oh, yeah, go check out the article that Flo did on Courtney Enders. That was a really good read, too.
That's another thing, too. Speaking of Enders, Erica in a top fuel car?
That'll be fun.
I'll speak. Well, let me rephrase that. They're in the planning stages. There's nothing guaranteed.
Yeah, she's still got to get her license, doesn't she?
She has the license in the car. They have to find funding for the car. They have to have a crew and a crew chief to tune the car because they don't have any experience in it. Not saying they can't do well in it, but it takes a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of testing.
Carter, I don't know if I'm going to go to the Galot in October. Right now, I would like to. It just depends on what's going on around here with the farm and everything. Just as long as we don't have a wet fall.
Yeah.
Sorry, I cut you off there.
There you go. Usually the spring and the fall months when it comes to motorsports are kind of up in the air for guys like us.
Yeah.
Because unlike when it comes to dirt track racing or drag racing, the pulling world, we have a lot of – we have the season, but outside of it, we have work.
Yeah.
So,
hard to say. I work most days. I'm off at 5. There's some days I'm not off till 7 or 8. I mean, you guys saw me spring into action the other night. Everard Combine went down in the middle of the show.
Yeah.
Your power got apart. Shane, are you one of them 2x2 farmers? No. I'm assuming he's answered that question. I don't know what that means exactly.
I'm confused with what he means by that too. But anyway, is there anything else need to talk about tonight?
I'm not off my head. Like I said, just keep all those families I mentioned earlier in your thoughts and prayers. Sending good vibes out to Rock Valley this weekend for the Outlaws. I know that community's had a tough time just getting that place ready to go pulling.
Dude, we're so freaking full of rain up here. It is insane.
Yeah. I mean, we need a little bit. 2 weeks in the spring, 2 weeks in the fall, no hay involved. I mean, yeah, pretty much. How are the light limiteds down there and dealing with the 10-ply pros up here? They're hard to compete against. I'll be honest with you, Mr. Benson. I haven't seen a ton of light limiteds here this year.
Terry, question
on the road everywhere else. Are you doing better, sir? That's another question.
Yeah, Terry. Also, what tires do Thompsons run then on Hummer Harvester? And then you speak of the 10-ply pro pullers, but
yeah,
is that what you got on there?
I would have thought so, but
I'll tell you, tire game. The tire game right now is.
I've seen a guy put on 24.5s down here, and I never thought I'd see that. The 30.5s were hooking too hard for him,
which is crazy because I don't know of any tractor in a light limited super up in Lancaster that had 24.5s on, unless I just missed it. But
10-ply Firestones.
Yeah,
I kind of miss my Firestone tires.
Right, 30. Yeah, 30. Most of them had 30.5s on.
That's interesting. Yeah. How was Lancaster for you, though? I meant to ask you. I haven't even got a chance to talk to you, dude. That's how busy we've both been.
Yeah, we've been busy. Lancaster for us was great. I mean, when you take home you take home a win, it feels awesome.
Yeah.
After Toma, we had to make a couple changes. We lost the front accessory drive pump, the lift pump for the fuel side. Had to replace that. And hoping it would run. We were just hoping it would run.
Yeah.
Boy, did it run. We were glad to come out on top. I mean, it's been a while since we've come out on top, and it's feels awesome.
Yeah. I mean, Region 3 is no slouch either.
What?
I said that Region 3 is no slouch either. A bunch of Grand National champions have came from Region 3.
Heck, the number 1 and 2 pullers in 4-1 were Grand National champions in different divisions.
What's your thoughts so far on each series points race this year? So funny you mentioned that, because was it Badger State that we were talking about specifically the other day?
Yes, we were talking about the Badger State
4-1 race. Good grief.
Adam Stevens. I don't know if Adam's watching, but Adam Stevens and the Gerlach family,
they have
gonna be a barn burner. And I'm not taking away anybody else in that category. I mean, Gallitz is Meyer, McDonald. I mean, anybody in that class right now. That, and I'm not just saying this for regional bias here.
Yeah.
But the Badger State point series and everything is unbelievable. Super Farm, Vinny's, and I mean Dalkey and Cassinson. There's a bunch of guys. Josh Blackburn running the California tractor. There's tons of them.
I'm gonna have to get him. I'm starting to think he likes a Super Farm more than he likes an alcohol super.
Let's go on that tangent. Let's go on the points race tangent. Where do you think it's going to end up for most?
You know the prediction I made at the beginning of the year. He's hanging in there, Diesel Super. Esden's hanging in there, the Diesel Super race for NCPA right now. He's done good.
Yeah.
I think we all want to see him win another one.
Right. But you know as well as anybody else, that's top fuel diesel. You need a crew to work on them. You need to have parts for them and not break. Especially in that 5-week stint in late in the season that's going to be coming up pretty sudden, where it's all hell breaks loose.
I know, but right now that's kind of where my head's been. Pro Pulling League side, Redwoods is leading Super Farms presented by Apex Turbo this year. And I mean, he's doing good. First time he's ran the tour. I mean, they've only had one weekend, but you lead at any point series at any point in time, in my opinion, you're doing something right.
I think it's going to be hard to beat Josh. I'm sorry. When you win 4 championships in a row, it's going to be hard to beat the man.
Yeah. We've already crowned Midwest region champions this past weekend too. Red Wiser's your Midwest region Pro Pulling League champ.
Pro Stocks. Do I need to even say it? Tinker Toy is just on a tear.
Yeah, it's back to doing Tinker Toy things.
It doesn't matter if it's Daryl in the seat, if it's Joey in the seat, or Kevin, or Patrick. I mean, those tractors just go down the track, man. And you can't beat consistency, especially if they're winning. And that whole class on that side is stacked. I mean, you got Shelton's, Parrish, Denny Brown, Justin Wagler, Yoder. I mean, come on.
Has Yoder been out yet?
Who?
Yoder.
Yeah, he was in Shipshewana.
Okay.
I mean, Shipshewana is his hometown. He was in Farley too. I mean, what are you talking about? Okay. As Andy says, the damn gangsters.
Yeah. Has any component light pros been out yet with the Silver Series? No.
Will we see some? Will we see some? John talked about it and mentioned it. I think we'll see some by Hillsboro. Terry, you were completely right on 3-4-1s.
Yeah.
Dean Holicky, James Geezy, Kevin Lindstrom.
Hooterville.
Dick was only there. He can. I mean, he's gonna hold a dig out of.
Yeah.
Oh, another one in the points race up there. It sucks that it happened. Webster's and Cruel Intentions in the crash.
Oh yeah,
Man, they were doing it. man, they were doing good. Just come off of winning Jim Falls and a blue steer tire coming to Lancaster, and unfortunately they missed Lancaster. But I did get information. They're registered for River Falls. So
yeah,
they're going to be back. The rest of the points races in PPL are just starting up modifieds, minis, two-wheel drives, light super stock. Well, light super stocks didn't they have a hook already?
Yeah.
Macville. That's right, Macville. They did.
Yeah. I'll do a plug too for one of our buddies too, Mr. Gordon Cox. He has a fantasy pulling league. I mean, all you guys got to do is go in there and type in your email, your first and your last name, and fill out your picks for the whole season if you want to. I personally wait to do it week to, if not bi-weekly, just to make sure, kind of see the first few hooks, who's winning what. But if you guys want to see how you guys know how you guys think we're going to do at certain tracks, go do that. I do it. I met some guys at Bowling Green, Ohio last year because of it. They were coming over talking to my brother, and they were like, "Oh, hey, don't you do this?" Like, yeah, it's a great way for all of us to get to know each other even better.
And you don't have to lose money on it. You just pick them.
Yeah, it's fun. I can do okay with the winter one, but that summer one, you see now, it's completely different for me. The winter one, I struggle so badly, but I'm hoping this winter's different because of me kind of going out to Missouri from this past summer and kind of seeing the guys and seeing the Western Series guys out there more.
Right.
So maybe I'll do better. Make me a little smarter. Yeah. He said, or fun, but I suck at it. But I did win 1 week last year. There was a stretch there. I think I won 2 in a row, maybe. I don't remember. But guys, go fill that out. It's Fantasy Pulling. I think that's the Facebook page, isn't it? Fantasy Pulling.
I am not familiar with it. I know I'm familiar on the pull off thread of it, but
yeah, it's on pull off. Go check out that thread. Winter one pick blue tractors to the Midwest Winter Nationals. You usually do pretty good. I mean, it's a fair statement. I feel like at this point, if you guys did not hear our last show though, go make sure you check that out after we're done here. We got to interview them, and that was a lot of fun with Zach Howell talking about their shootout coming up this weekend.
Yep. And speaking of shows, information next week we are going to have another show.
Yeah, so next Wednesday we'll be back on Wednesday. Although we might have to talk about it. I don't know.
Right.
We'll make a post and decide, but I kind of sort of like this time slot.
We are in such a different the motorsports schedule right now is in such a hell week time. It's insane.
Yeah, it's going to be hard for us. I mean, mine tractor is going to be home soon. So,
yep.
We'll probably be missing a show or two here and there if we're being 1,000% transparent. But
Carter asks, what do we think about Region 4?
I don't know what to think yet, really. Still early.
Super Farms give me one of 2 of the Outlaw or Mule tractors or Bad Boy. And then other than that,
Bad Boy.
Light Pro, give me one of the Beasleys.
They went mixed up with USA East this weekend.
Yeah, they're pretty well right behind Jeff.
Wait, was that USA East or was that Pull Off Productions?
I can't keep any of them straight out there. There's a million.
I think they're intertwined in some shape or form.
You talk about commonality of rules. Make a commonality of an association, please. No disrespect to them, but Lord of mercy.
Yeah, I will say that's Chris Baker said they're one and the same. So yeah, pretty much. Yeah, but Jeff Michelocci took the win there, I think, both nights, didn't he?
Yep.
He's on another tear right now, like always. But I think that's all I've got, man. I can't think of anything. I know I'm going to remember something as soon as we shut it down.
Oh, boy.
Thank you guys for tuning in. I know we're going over what we normally do, but thank you to everyone that liked, and make sure you guys share this show around on your Facebook pages, please. I mean, it helps us out a ton. It gets for us to be able to keep doing these kind of shows. It's amazing.
We got a lot of different viewpoints. We got a lot of different predictions. Yeah. I mean, we all got different opinions, but we all love this stuff.
Love this thing. We've still got some stuff coming down the pipeline. We just we can't talk about yet, but it'll be fun.
Terry says Alan Cook is running hard up there. He took quite an advantage of that track there in Lancaster. That was one tricky one.
What was he first took?
No, he was dang near. He might have been last hook, but Aftall's your 2-time defending Farm Machinery Show champion. Did nothing to hit the wheelie bars the entire way down the track. The old Contents Under Pressure of Webster's got right down the track. They had a really good run. But then you got Dwayne Bauer right behind them, hit the wheelie bars just like Aftall. Then you got Cook come along and just bolt straight.
Yeah.
So about knowing yourself. Second, okay, there you go. There's Keith. All right, yeah.
Yeah, but thank you guys. Literally every single one of you guys that watch these shows. I mean, it's what makes us want to keep doing it. We enjoy talking about all this, and you guys interacting with us. It makes it all the more fun that we can just come here and put it aside and talk about what we love.
We've got guests lined down the pipeline that are interested in going on, not just from the polling side. I'm going to tell you right now, Motion Race Works, if you haven't heard of them, they make a lot of different stuff for the drag racing world and even dirt track stuff. Andy and Doug Cook. You're gonna want to be there for that one. So
I'll throw the one out there that I've got. We're gonna go to Indiana for mine, for the one I've got coming down the pipeline. And I'll let all of you guys just send. Well,
that's 1 million people, dude.
Yeah, but kind of think of the series that we've been doing whenever it comes to driver interviews.
Why not? So, but holy shit, Doug Cook. Yeah, the boys from Motion Race Works.
Gerbob in.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Oh yeah, and to all the haters out there, whether it's talking about our tractor or us, screw off because we're coming for you. Sorry.
On that note, I've got to edit.
On that note, roll that beautiful bean footage. We're out.
Yeah. See you guys later. Thanks.